So the thing about the holidays is people do a fair amount of drinking, ourselves included. So we're going to talk to you about a couple basic tips.
I'm going to show you how to get a little zest or peel for a drink. Use a vegetable peeler and then a knife, and you can cut it into little strips. Or you can find one of these handy doodads, which does a perfect little strip peel for you.
Beautiful. Like that.
And there you go. It adds a nice little flavor to drinks.
And you can do that with any citrus whatsoever.
Blood oranges,
Yeah.
Meyer lemons,
Mandarins.
tangerines,
Go crazy.
tangelos, clementines.
On fire. Let's talk about the more ordinary citrus. Lemons and limes, which I think are a must at any bar. Because even if you're not serving cocktails, you're probably gonna have someone who's just drinking sparkling water, so it's nice to give them a little spritz of flavor. So wedges of citrus, I find they're often presented in this way that actually is really impractical. Most people cut them sort of lengthwise, and they're actually really hard to squeeze because you get the membrane along the inside.
I hate that.
So I know, totally. So there are actually two different ways that I like to cut citrus into wedges that are really very squeezable. The first is to just cut it right down the middle.
The Charmin of citrus.
Exactly. You cut it right down the middle, and then actually quarter it. And then you can just cut this into 2 or 3 wedges depending on the size of your lemon. And they're kind of chunky and cute. I think more attractive. And they have sort of a whole open side, so when you squeeze them, they squeeze beautifully. And the other method that's a little fancier, and I'm gonna use a lime for this one, is to cut off the ends. So you're kind of loosening up the membranes already. And then you do the same sort of lengthwise cut. But then you can actually cut off the membrane. So you have this flat edge and it just squeezes and there's no barrier whatsoever. And they're also quite pretty.
Very cool.
Right?
I never knew that before.
Yeah. And some people will cut it as well. One more.
Oh yeah.
We'll
love
cut,
this one.
yeah, we'll just cut straight down the side and you end up with these sort of flat, almost boat-shaped wedges.
I call that like the oyster bar.
Yeah, exactly. And they're almost more peel than flesh.
That's
But
fantastic.
they work really nicely.
Yeah.
So now that we've talked about garnishes, we're gonna talk about something else really important, which is opening bottles of booze. Namely wine, which I'm gonna hand to you,
Right.
and bubbly.
Shall you want to work on the bubbly while I do the wine?
Perfect,
Okay,
yeah.
great. So Meryl and I feel like, despite all these fancy gadgets for opening wine, that this sort of classic opener is the best one to use. And you can just use the little tip or the knife feature, depends on what you're in the mood for, to peel off the label.
So easy.
Yeah, and you just want to sort of gently press it down straight. I actually turned the bottle at first and then switched using my hand. You just push it in. Don't hurry. Don't panic, especially if it's red wine, because you don't want it to be splashing anywhere. Just carefully lift it in, and then if you need to push it in a little bit further, go for it. Isn't that a nice sound? I like that.
Lovely sound.
Yeah, and that's it.
There's really no reason to stress out about opening wine or to get those giant contraptions that, there's nowhere to store. I mean, I really, really do believe that this is the best corkscrew.
Yeah, it's like $5 or $10.
Yeah, you just need to get used to it.
All right.
So now on to the bubbly. Whether you have champagne or Prosecco or Cava, the method is the same. So you just want to remove the foil. You always want to start with a towel at hand. Then you just take off the cage by twisting.
Notice how Meryl's holding her finger on top, and that's just in case the cork is like ready to come out. It won't fly up to the ceiling or into anyone's eye.
Exactly. And you know what I love about bubbly is even if someone is being sort of conservative in their drinking and they say that, you know, they're not having anything to drink, you can often get them to have just a few sips of bubbly because who doesn't love it?
You're an excellent enabler.
It's a fun drink. So this is where you really want to be careful. You do not want to point this at anyone. It's basically a loaded weapon. So you want to take the top of the hand towel and wrap it over the cork, and then you use that hand to ease the cork in a circular motion, and it'll start to
lifting.
come out. That was a little quick and a little loud, but very festive, and I didn't lose any.
Yeah.
So there you go.
And we always plan 2 drinks per person. And any other tips?
I think those are our bar essentials.